So hello guys, good evening all. So let's start today's session. So today's session will be JEE Paper 2 drawing session from our famous faculty Chandra sir. So Chandra sir will be taking today's session. So not much delay, let's start. So before starting, I just want to give you one instruction about the curiosity quiz that we are normally conducting on Monday as well as Friday at 9 p.m. So next quiz will be on coming Monday, which will be related to JEE Paper 2 mock quiz. So kindly do participate. If you have any queries or doubt, you can just contact us, or else you can just use the live chat box which is available, or else you can just use the comment box also. So not much delay, let's start today's session. So Chandra sir, am I clearly audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sir. Shall we start then?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, students. Welcome to another discussion session. So today we are going to discuss a couple of questions that have appeared previously in JEE exams. I shall just discuss that kind of a question. So on a lot of people have requested, like how to resolve, how to work on such type of question. So we are going to work on this kind of a questions, and it has been repetitively asked in JEE exam specifically. So the question is to recreate a proportionate sketch and use any black and white media for rendering and recreate your proportionate and appropriate sketch for it. Okay, so rather than getting into too much of details of techniques and things, we would try to focus on, like how to pay attention to the scale and proportion, and very minimalistic and very simple rendering techniques, how you can quickly achieve, or probably how you can quickly pay attention to the things which probably a juror or the jury panel or the mentor panel is looking at the solution from this kind of questions. Okay, considering the questions, so first of all, what they have made, let's understand this question very carefully first. Okay, so first part is draw a proportionate sketch. Okay, I hope you guys are able to see what I'm trying to draw over here. So first part is to create a proportionate sketch. Okay, so maintaining the scale, even if you are enlarging it, okay, uh, to the scale, so you have to maintain the scale and the width to the height proportions, and recreate this entire sketch. Okay, and then the second part to it is to use any black and white rendering techniques. Okay, so rather than getting into various techniques, I would use a very simple, so we will not spend into rendering techniques like blocking, so where you are using a lot of smudging and shading. So rather than, we will quickly rely on what are the quickest method that can represent basically the light and the shadow, basically minimalistic values. So a quicker way to represent your idea. Okay, so these are the few things that we shall discuss while working on this question. Okay, and you guys can ask any questions. You can put your questions into the chat box, and I would love to answer all of the questions, and I would try to answer all of them. Fine. So let's begin with the first part of the question, which is a sketching. Okay, so uh, as to start with, okay, so one should at least give maximum 20 minutes to this. Okay, that is what I find is an appropriate time to resolve this question. I know we are taking almost an hour to do so, but in exam, okay, so you should at least finish this question minimum by 20 and maximum by 25 minutes. Okay, so first 10 minutes you should able to sketch, and definitely I will be discussing about a quicker ways to do so, and even the rendering techniques. Fine. So let's begin our question and our response to this question. Fine. let's so whatever, I mean, this is the kind of a space that we have to provide our solution to this sketch. Okay, now what you can do is, like, you can actually maintain the similar scale of drawing. That's totally up to you. But if a separate sheet or separate drawing sheet is provided, then, you know, like, suppose another separate sheet, so at least pay attention that, you know, you are acquiring at least the half portion of it. Okay, I mean, at least leaving some buffer space from all the sides, maintaining that you should at least acquire the half size of that sheet, so that, you know, that whatever that you are trying is, you know, is win by. So this is a very quick key sketch that we are trying to understand for the scale and proportion. Okay, so this is what one should try to depict, one should try to achieve through that scaled proportionate sketch. Okay, so this is a very simple key sketch to make composition and to, you know, to understand how we are going to work about it. Fine. Let's go ahead. Okay. So a quick, I mean, generally, most of the time, you know, if in this case there is a figurative sketch right now. Okay. So to understand that scale and proportion, I'm gonna consider this head as a measuring unit, probably. Okay. Probably those who have practiced figurative drawing and figurative sketches, they must have, you know, gone through this. So this is a very quick way that I shall, you know, deal with its understanding its proportions. Okay, so it's almost, if I take the entire height and if I see, so the so these are the, you know, like, proportions. I'm trying to create a proportion. The fold of the leg is exactly at the half. Okay, if you see, now this is almost equal to the 4 equal parts of this. Okay, so the head, if you are counting head as a measuring unit, okay, this body is not exactly straight, it is like this, right? So it has been at a little bit on a leaning side, not exactly a straight posture. Okay, so it is something like this, like this, while the other leg that we are not able to see is been taking a weight of the entire body, and it's going to be straight somewhere over here. Okay, so but that part is not visible. Fine. So this is one way to understand the scale proportion of this one. Now moving on to, you know, understanding the posture better. Just a second, let's hide this. Okay, just understanding what are the major masses, as we are not allowed to, you know, uh, uh, you know, like, use a dressing paper or something. So I'm just try to create a relationship between this, you know, basic same thing. Must have been something like this. Okay, so this is the basics, you know, of the skeletal structure that we have been drawn. Okay, so this is how I'm able to establish the connection between the drawing. Fine. So if I want to just simply use this as a, you know, like, this is what we have been able to create so far, paying attention to the things. Okay, now if I just using this as a reference, Okay, you can simply recreate that also. Okay, not necessary that you have to, but it's just to save on time. Okay, fine. So first, I'm drawing little darker over here so that you guys are able to see it. But what you can do is simply draw much lighter so that you don't have to waste time in erasing all of these things. Okay, so okay, this is my kind of a second. This is layering basically. This is my second layer. So if I'm able to create this basic skeleton, not exactly working on it as a figurative drawing class, but I'm just trying to tell you how to maintain that proportions, that appropriateness in whatever that you are drawing. Okay, paying attention to now the proportions of this. Like this is a shoulder. I'm really sorry, guys. The the shoulder, right? This is the again, the exact half. See again, this is half of this. Okay, so this is how I'm like this. Then they go and they draw hands, and somewhere you tend to lose the proportions. Sometimes hands go longer, legs go shorter. So this is just to make my eyes understand how things are broken down into simpler steps and processes. Fine. Okay, so just considering that. So remember the thing that we are drawn almost at the half of this, almost at the half of this exact half. So this is where lower torso needs to begin. Now if you see, we see this quite straight. I'm just pushing that in a viewport. Okay, finding the angles of the lines so that we are able to just quickly create. This is almost straight. Okay? So the drape of the fabric that she is wearing. And it's okay, fine. Like everything is even not even 100% correct. Still, it is okay. All we have to maintain is this proportions, scale and proportion appropriately. Okay. So this is almost at the half. You find that elbow is somewhere over here. I'm just trying to the elbow. Okay, it's over here at the half of this. And now hand is slightly taking turns towards this side. It's not staying straight. It's just joining almost till knees. Okay, the wrist, well, it might end over here. Fine. So the proportionateness. Now, I'm right now not making any details, just drawing geometrical shapes. You see, this is like my first approach or my first response to what I'm been able to see. Okay. Later on, we can forge a lot of details into this one. So right now, we are just pushing all that we can. Now you see, again, a hand might be somewhere, something like this, as the elbow is going over here. Same thing, like if I have to, again, playing with simple shapes. So the plate and the details in that, we can just incorporate that much later. Okay, now it's time to add a little bit of details over here. Okay, at the exact half of this, we might see eyes, we might see eyebrows above that. Okay, ears at the exact center of it. Fine. So this is what the basic has been, we have been able to create. Okay, making it lighter, let's work on the final one now. Okay, so this is the appropriate sketch that we have been able to create. The first layer is very quick. Now probably I can add, I'm now just trying to figure out, and here I'm not gonna go darker, as you know, basically we want to leave that space for rendering, and the value should occupy that, right? So we will pay attention to that part now, the representation. Yes, a second. Thank you. Just a second. It's like just paying attention to the way the lines and things right here. I'm not drawing the details in ears. I'm just drawing them as a simpler shapes. You see, like for geometry, not paying attention to. Basically, we can just resolve that by the simple addition of values. Yet I'm not starting with the rendering part. I'm just adding this the details and the lines now, line work. Okay, I'm not working at all with a like lot of polygon. I'm just trying to simplify them into geometrical shapes, even though it is curved like this, right? So we can resolve this as a lot of smaller curve, as in smaller lines. So we shall be able to deliver it as a complex organic surface. So with the weight of the fabric and the gravity acting on it, you'll see interesting folds in the fabric like this, because of its weight, because of its structure or its composition, the way it has been stitched, weaved, woven. Okay, this is a joint. So this surface is going in, and this surface is overlapping that. So we're just trying to recreate this. Okay. Now let's pay attention to the remaining details over here. So we can simply draw some details so that we don't want to pay attention what is happening beneath them, okay, or uh, behind that layer. And then simply just understanding them as different lines, okay, not very different textures and things, okay. slowly adding the details. How much that surface that you're finding that appropriateness in the perspective from the reference. If I draw it like this, then it will see like we are seeing it from too much of top. Okay, so rather than just keeping it very simple, almost flat, but just a slight top surface to it, so it would show that we are seeing almost an equal eye level. Okay. I just representing the contours. First of all, with very simple lines. The grapes. You don't have to draw each and every single line. Just joining them, and you'll be able to share that experience of the drapery and kind of things. So here, that appropriateness is achieving that is very important. Fine. So we can actually work on the details much later also. And it's time to push a little bit of these details. We can actually figure that out while rendering too. Just so this is almost getting flat. You see. Okay. So now if you pay attention to this, you know, as the contour changes, so very interestingly, you would see that change in the drapes and the design is also been able to move. I'm just trying to use that, and we will be able to create a very interesting patterns. Fine. So we are almost done with our sketch. Okay. So this is a sketch. Now let's pay attention with the values and the sketch rendering that what the next part of this entire question is about. Okay, so let's get rid of the other things, and now let's pay attention to rendering it. Very simple. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is, like, you can take a simple pencil. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a very basic tone for this one. You see, basic tone, so that I'm pretty quick with this one. Okay. So some improvising on a little bit of the facial structure as well, giving some shadows and with this. So you see. So this is just lines in one stroke. If you have observed, it's just lines in one stroke only. Okay, just one way to deal with this. Okay. Now, if you see what simply we can do is add the darkest values. The values are in the shadow. Okay. So probably this is the darkest value, as there is a very less light available. Okay. I'm adding that. Just pay attention to the details. We just added the darkest value. We'll just put it that. Okay, maybe this is like one mid-tonal value that we have been able to add so far. Okay, now you see this is a cylinder and is nothing but a cylinder. Okay, so if now imagining the light is from this side, right? If you see, like light is happening over here, so and everywhere, basically you are able to see the light is falling from that side. Okay, so we're gonna keep this side the brighter. As a result, as a to showcase as a curved surface, we will have to add the core shadow or this darker values at the center of the form. Okay, over here, from here like this. Okay, so this is how you would be able to figure out this. Fine. Okay. Also, now this particular drift is happening over here, and this is also casting some shadows inside this. You see, something like this. So again, pushing those shadows and shadow forms over here. Okay. Simple vertical lines. See, I'm rendering with just simple vertical lines, nothing else. If wherever you want the darker one part, I can add as this, either vertical, maybe a cross hatch, something like a cross hatch. Okay, so no need to like spend hours and hours with the shading. Okay, simply what we are trying to do is this is a curved surface, there is a light happening to this. So this will be gonna be brightest. Okay. There is a reflected light happening on it. Okay. If you pay attention to that, this is how it is going to look. And this is how we can make it look more curved. Right? Okay. So just paying attention to the same thing over here. For fingers, I'm just adding that separate value as a sketch. Okay. Now this particular part is showcasing most of the shadows. Okay. You see, give me the shine and the shadow of that hand. So we're just adding that. Well, and again, it's a little bit of more light over here. So slight brighter. Okay. But you see, there is more and more shadow over here. So before we figure out the lines and things, what we can do is like we can start adding more shadows. Okay, let's pay attention to this. If something is not required, that thing can be taken off with the help of eraser or simple, needed rubber. Now this is slightly the brighter part. So just adding the contours. As a result, these shadows are going to reflect on the lighter side as well. Okay, so let's do that. You see, this is now again. This has a little bit of darker values at the center. Okay. You can change the course of the lines and still. Okay. Okay. Now, paying attention to the values over here. I'm just making a simple drop by drop addition of the values, right? Okay. So this is like, if you see, we have been able to just, just patch by patch, we are adding the values to this. Okay. Now with this one, adding more of shadows over here, because see, you see the darkest region in that entire valley. Okay. Now similarly, is the with the values were just a second. A slight delay, slight lag, guys. Okay. Just reading some of your questions. Just a second. Sir wondered how to human figures in a memory drawing. Can you explain it after? Definitely, yes. So we can just have a very quick short sketch for that. Yeah. There's one more question, sir. In exam, since we can't map on the screen, what's the most effective way to draw proportions from eyeballing it? Very interesting question. Uh, I will definitely can we take this question as soon as we are finished with this rendering one. So I would help you out like how to like with just eyeballing and how to take academic uh, readings and draw from it. Okay, definitely let's do that. Okay, so let's just quickly finish off this with this values. Now see, we have added almost all the values in this one. Now still what we have left to do is like add some more contrast. Now, where do we see more contrast is at the hair. If you just see, yeah. I'm just taking very simple drawing lines as per the contour of or the shape of the head, right? So now figuring out that over here, okay, you see, simple, keeping that white over here, as that represents that highlight that we are able to see over here. Yeah, just adding the blocks of it. And suppose if you wish to add something to this, we can just use eraser or not draw it maybe. Yeah, so that can also represent that something that we are, you know, correct. For example, if you are dealing like this, we just slowly take few things off of it, and we would be able to create that experience of highlight uh, that is falling on the hair. Okay. Now this is something, the values that we are able to figure out over here. Okay. And let's add some values over here. Okay. It's time to just adding some shadows over here so that we are emphasizing this hand. Okay. Anyway, we see like there is a lot of darker value beneath this one. Fine. Got it? Okay. We're just adding as per the contour, adding some values over here. See? Simple lines, okay, not at all shading, because cross hatching is probably the most quickest way of showcasing the values that you are drawing. But there's some interesting value structure over here. You see, just adding that as as a border to it. There's some ornamentation to it. Okay. Again, you see a darkest value over here. Most of the contrast is that you are able to see over here. Can you see that? The best way to check whether you are doing it correct, you just go away from it, push it away from your eyes and see whether you are able to read all the shapes. Okay, I'm still calling them shapes as I'm simplifying them into just looking them at as a geometrical masses, not as a human figure. So probably you would be able to understand that very quickly. Yep. Okay. So this is done. Adding some shadows over here so that it would separate this. So simpler masses and simpler ways to. Yep. What you can do is you can also rotate your paper and move it as per your the orientation of the strokes. Just trying to add this as per the direction of the sketch or the surfaces. Yeah. So this is how I can see. And the I don't want to push a lot of details in over here. Okay, you can just add a basic lesser less darker values than this one so that we're able to showcase that it is behind this object closer to our eyes. That means more details in it and we're able to see that. Okay, okay, okay. So this is how we can simply add uh, just adding that lighter value so that there is a separation between this. Okay, here also we can add that, but as this is going to be darker over here a little bit so that it is seen, it is visible from the other one. I'm adding some brighter values over here so that it has bounced back. Okay, similarly adding some, you see, some brighter values so that it's getting corrected. Okay, Not paying attention to a lot of these details like highlight and just adding and blocking with the values. Okay. Now the rest of the thing, like we have drawn this particular thing. Okay, we don't want to darken this much. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the shadow over here. See that shadow that you are able to see. Not much detail. Okay, just a slight. See, you see a darker over here, lighter over here. We're just adding that. So this side is pretty much sharper. This side is pretty much blurred. Just a second. So this side is pretty much blurred. Now this is like a strip. Okay, like how do I show that? So if the light is off, like over here, start adding at this particular point. See, getting a little darker over here. The same thing that we have been able to. So that modulations are easily seen. So one is able to understand that surface is changing its path. Okay. So simple. Rendering techniques is nothing but understanding the light, interaction of light with your subject. Okay, whether it is cube, whether it is like a strip, whether it is it is spherical. Yeah, it is nothing but just an ideation. Okay, so when okay, so basically it is nothing but the interaction of light with the surface. Now in this case, if you see this drape over here, right, it is changing its course, something like this. Yeah, and you see a little bit of light is falling from this side, so this part is going to be brighter, this part is obviously going to be a bit darker. I'm just using lines, I'm not using anything else. Okay. Fine, it's simple. So this is increasing the distance and the lines so that it showcases darkness, decreasing the distance so that it showcases lightness. Okay, so that way it stays quite simple. Okay, so this is what we have to understand and we have to deal with. Okay, so this patch is particularly showcasing darkness again towards the light, towards the brighter reflections. See. Okay, so that's it. Read the image, observe it properly. Okay, so this is what it will take. Okay, fine. So this is how I would sketch these things appropriately, proportionately, and I would render them. Okay, so not it is not at all necessary that you have to render each and some part can be just simply left white like this. Okay, it can be just simply left white like this, so that there is more interaction for eyes with that white space. Okay, and I did not pay attention to at all drawing each part of the finger, that nail, and like the details of it. All we are trying to focus on is the values. Okay, adding some shadows and getting those details done. So this is how I would approach towards. Let's just get rid of all of these things. Okay. And this is what it needs. Okay, so now I hope this has been useful to you guys. Now, paying just quickly, there was question about like one of the fellow students have asked how we can map this most effective way to draw proportions from eyeballing it. Okay, so just a quick response to that question. Okay, don't want to get into a lot of detail over here in this discussion session, but you see, these are the some major masses. We would just pay attention to where they are. Okay, their interaction with the backbone. You see, yeah, drawing this a little larger actually, so that you guys get a better idea about it. Okay, so there are three major masses: head, the ribcage, and the torso. Whatever that we are drawing is just a reaction to this. Let's pay. Okay, so this is just the relation. If you are able to create a relation between this 1, 2, and 3, you would be able to sort out a lot of things. Now it's just what I have to do is just join them. Okay, you see. Okay, so this is how we deal with the scale proportions. And rest of the thing is when it gets really simple, or because we have been able to figure out the massing and all of the things. Okay, so this is the next level. Okay, fine. So anyway, I don't want to take a lot of your time about this one, but yeah. So this is how I would pay attention to the lines and how they would create that connection together. So this is like the basic gestural sketch of what we are supposed to draw. We have drawn already. Got it? So this is how we can simply draw the scaled and the proportional. Okay. I hope this is clear. Okay. Then later on, like, you can spend some time to create a better version of this. So it's just what is left is the masking part then. Okay, and we will be able to sort a lot of things out. Okay, so this is, and not paying attention to a lot of details, like not drawing each line, each hair. Don't need to actually do that. Okay, pay attention to the proper way of simplifying things as a scaled version of, just simplify them into shapes, geometrical masses, and you'll be able to simply sort the drawing part very quickly. Okay, rest is like the rendering part. Rendering part can definitely be done with just a simple set of observations made around you. Okay, so this is how we can draw things. I hope uh, I hope it was useful to you guys. I hope it is clear how we can deal with this. Make simple drawing first of all. Make it simpler into simpler shapes, simpler line structure. Make the drawing first. Rendering techniques are nothing but just an extension to the values. You see, this is what we have done. Yeah, the lightest, lighter, slightly darker, darker, the darkest. If we want to go toward the more darkest, we can start adding the cross hatches or the cross lines so that it can get denser and looks more darker. Okay, so it is, the cross hatching is a very less time consuming technique that which we can actually follow. And a lot of people, they go behind, like blocking, then select lighter shaded pencil, and they go again with a lighter. So it is very time consuming. Rather than, don't go with that, just select one particular pencil till 2B. Don't even go beyond that, as the softer lid will tend to smudge all of these things, and your answer sheet might get little messy, ruined. So rather than that, just use a pencil till 2B, and with simpler one directional way. Okay, you can simply create interesting rendering techniques. You see, darker, more darker, as this is the quickest way possible to print. So simply make simpler choices which are not time consuming. Okay, we shall be able to deal with this kind of a question within 20 to 25 minutes. Fine. Okay, I hope the session was useful to you guys, and I wish you very all the best for your JEE exams. If you have more questions, please feel free to ask. Please, you can mention them in the chat box, and I would love to answer them. Okay, thank you so much. I think I'll stop over here. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. Thank you for the session. So students,
Thank you
I
so
hope it was
much.
a, thank you, sir. So students, I hope it was a beautiful session for you guys also. And next session will be on Monday. So kindly do participate that also. And the session will be taken from our great faculty named Surya sir, and the subject will be arc awareness. So don't forget. So thank you all. Thank you for this session. So bye. Have a great day.
Thank you.